Good morning. Today is Wednesday, August 14th, and this is Devotions from St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. We're going to take a passage this morning from John's Gospel, and it's in keeping with the passages we've had the last several weeks following the feeding of the 5,000. So this is from the 6th chapter of John's Gospel. Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But I said to you that you have seen me, and you do not believe. Everything that the Father gives me will come to me, and anyone who comes to me I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And this is the will of him who sent me, that I lose nothing of all that he has given me, but raise it up on the last day. This is indeed the will of my Father, that all who see the Son and believe in him may have eternal life, and I will raise them up on the last day." It's an interesting idea, but John's Gospel is the only one of the four Gospels that relates Jesus as the bread of life to the feeding of the 5,000 and not to the Last Supper. The Holy Eucharist that we celebrate every Sunday comes to us in this passage, in this whole chapter 6 of John's Gospel, in a slightly different form than it does in the other three Gospels, where it comes directly from the Last Supper. And so this is an interesting idea that we get from John. But he's very strong. Jesus says, "I am the bread of life." That's what we celebrate in the Eucharist, in the Holy Communion. Jesus as the one who feeds us. Now, he said earlier in chapter 6 than what I just read now, that the crowds followed him after the feeding of the 5,000, not because they wanted to see the signs that he was doing, but because they had eaten their fill of bread. And he said to them in that time, "Do not eat bread which does not nourish, which you have to eat again and again in order to sustain yourself. But eat that bread that will sustain you for eternal life." And of course, he was talking about himself. And in fact, he was more specific in this passage than he had been up to this point. So I'd like to read the very last verse. It's verse 40 from the 6th chapter again, and then talk about that just a little bit. "This indeed is the will of my Father, that all who see the Son and believe in him may have eternal life, and I will raise them up on the last day." This is the will of God. It's interesting that the will of God is a completely positive thing for you and me. That Jesus is here to give us the opportunity for eternal life. And it is the will of God that he do this. And our part, Jesus in other places calls the work of God, is to believe in Jesus. That's what this verse says to us. If we believe in Jesus, we will have eternal life. Now, this is an enduring theme in the church, but it is important. It is the center of life. It is what is going to sustain us for all eternity. Belief in Jesus. And here again, Jesus promises, if we believe in him, we will have eternal life. This is the will of God. Think about this. This is so important to us And how do we act on this belief in Jesus? I really liked Pastor's sermon this past week when he talked over and over that this is established as relationship with Jesus. Relationship. Thinking about, talking to, listening to, praying to, acting on everything that Jesus ever said and believing in him. It is the will of God that we have eternal life. And our part is this relationship, this believing in Jesus. I hope you take the time to read all of chapter 6. John's gospel is so powerful in this section. It talks about you and me. It talks about our relationship with Jesus. It talks about Jesus doing the will of God to get each of us eternal life. Thank you.